Welcome to the Pre-Post Film Review. I'm Matt Stevenson.
And I'm John Asquith. Today we're going to be talking about the newest Brad Bird film, Tomorrowland. So the way the podcast works is that you're going to hear our thoughts and impressions on the trailer for Tomorrowland. And we record that obviously before we've seen the movie, give our impressions. And then we come back once the film has been released and we've seen it. We come back to record our sort of feature review and compare to what we thought based on the trailer. So the first part is obviously no spoilers because we haven't seen the movie yet. So come on, no spoilers. But the second half, obviously we've seen it, and our policy is just to dive straight in. So don't listen if you haven't seen the movie, or if you don't care. If you don't care, that's fine as well. But that's how this place works. If you don't like it, get out. Oh man, that was a mess. So let's go on to our trailer impressions for Tomorrowland.
$7.32, one Florida State driver's license, baseball cap, one pen, one pack of Beeman's gum, and whatever that is.
That's not mine.
What's not yours?
The pen. I've never...
What if there was a place, a secret place, where nothing was impossible?
Trailer review time. Matt?
It is.
Just wanted to start that off slightly differently this time. We've just watched the teaser trailer for the new Brad Bird directed film, Tomorrowland. What are your thoughts after seeing this?
Well, it's very much a teaser.
Yeah.
It's almost one scene, two, I guess. There's an end shot or two end shots. Otherwise, it's just one single scene that feels like it's just been lifted from the film.
Mm-hmm.
But so it makes it hard to judge what the film's going to be like.
Yeah,
I feel
totally.
like I get a very good grasp of what this is based on this teaser. But having said that, it is absolutely nothing like what I expected it to be.
Okay. In what way?
Well, I don't know.
What were you expecting?
Something more real. I thought it was based around like the theme parky thing about the future. Because Tomorrowland's a Disneyland thing, right?
Yeah,
right?
Tomorrowland
like
is
a
a
part of the theme park.
It's one of the lands
Yeah,
in
so
Disneyland.
I thought it had something to do with...
I think there is... I mean, this isn't in a teaser, but I think there is some sort of connection.
See, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But the teaser's very magical. Like the little button that she has that you can somehow touch and get transported to Tomorrowland
or something, yeah.
Which I have to say I initially dislike.
Really?
That's very... Maybe it's because it's not what I expected, but it feels very kiddie, like Spy Kids. I don't know. Maybe that's too far, but like it's so magical that it was hard for me to grasp. And then it's also like, what's the implications of that? Like, what happens to her body in the real world when she touches that? Like, if she's in a room full of people, does she just disappear and then appear again?
Probably.
Like, wouldn't they be freaking out?
I don't think anyone saw.
There's like 4 people in there.
Yeah, but I think they were all like reading their papers.
They just didn't notice a girl vanishing and reappearing.
Yeah, it was only
right
a
in front of
second.
them.
Only a split second.
Because it implies that there's real world. Like, she picks the pin up, goes to Tomorrowland, lets it go, and it drops in the real world onto the floor.
Yeah, as soon as she lets go, she's back, right?
Yeah.
So when she lets go, it drops down to the real
world. I guess that's true, because she would be back when it dropped.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's nitpicky, I know. But, like, I just that's the first thing that I thought when it happened. Like, okay, what happens on Earth when you doing it. I don't know. I'm going on a nitpick rant on the teaser. I'm
it's like the you're like the comic book guy.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Excuse me.
And I hate that. I shouldn't. This is just like it's so fresh to me because I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, I must say I've already watched the. You've literally just watched the
just
teaser
watched
before
it.
recording.
Yeah.
I watched it a few days ago,
Yeah.
so I've had time to digest that. Yeah.
But yeah, having said all that, I'm totally judging it on a teaser. Like I said, I know it's unfair, and a lot of that stuff's probably explained. And
Or maybe
it'll
you're
make
saying that because you
more
know
sense
Damon Lindelof.
Well, no, but
is the
that
writer.
actually is one of my problems.
Yeah.
Like, I know he has a tendency to just go bananas,
Yeah.
and not ground things,
Yeah.
and that's where he gets lost. And that was one of my big worries when I realized or found out he
Yeah.
was writing this film.
Yeah, and
that
for
it-
like we should say for people listening who don't recognize his name,
Oh yeah,
he was one of the head writers or showrunner on Lost.
yeah,
He did the most recent sort of version of Prometheus.
yeah.
He did the second Star Trek movie.
Yeah, I think so.
Did
He
he pass
might
on that?
actually be involved in both. Was
Yeah, I think he might have been a producer on the first.
Yeah, I'm not
anyway,
sure.
he's kind of
He
known.
has a tendency to ruin things.
Yeah, he's known for good concepts, but then not following them through
Yeah, see, that's
very
what
well.
I'm worried about. Like, he comes up with a great idea of this Tomorrowland that you get transported to,
Yeah.
which is a great idea, but then, like you said, it's not fleshed out in a realistic way. Well, you know, it breaks down once you dig too deep into it.
Yeah,
But, I mean, that might not be the case. It might be all above board and logical when you see it in the context of a full film.
yeah.
So I don't want to make that judgment, but it is something that worried me from watching the teaser trailer. But like the flip side of that is it's directed by Brad Bird, who I fucking love.
I was just gonna say, yeah,
Which is the most exciting thing about this film.
Yeah.
I think like
He's
everything
incredible.
he touches is just incredible. So I would be very disappointed if he'd attached himself to something that was
yeah.
full of holes and a bit.
I just don't think it's possible. He's so smart,
Yeah.
and he knows how to tell a story. And if there's something wrong, he just seems like the kind of guy that
Yeah.
would fix it, or
Yeah.
he'd hire a new writer to do another
Yeah,
pass
I
on
agree
the
with
script
that.
or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's like having him on there is like a seal of approval that it's going to be really good.
Yeah, I hope so. Because
Yeah.
I want it to be good. And I rant about this every fucking episode, but it's great to have a film that's not a sequel, it's not a
Yeah.
comic book. It's
Exactly.
not
and
a
like there's this
novel
Disney connection,
adaptation.
but that's not
Yeah,
really anything.
yeah.
That's not really anything. Like it's basically an original movie.
Yeah.
And
It's just using the name that's familiar.
yeah,
because of a
exactly.
theme park.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's really good, and I hope it does really well.
Yeah.
I actually really like the teaser. I think
Yep.
it's a really, really good teaser, and
Yep.
it reminds me of, the teasers of old, of back in the 90s or something, where a teaser was still a teaser. And
Yeah, no, you're right, and it does tease you. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
it's just like gives you
it's just
enough.
nothing but a little bit of build up, and then it's
Yeah.
almost a cliffhanger. Like,
Yeah, exactly. You get this faraway landscape, and then like a 1 second shot at the end of like some
yeah, or you
futuristic.
get George Clooney saying, like,
Oh yeah,
explaining this
this
land
land.
where
yeah.
anything is possible and you
Yeah.
can change the future or something. Is
Yeah.
what he says. And he was like, "Do you want to go there?"
Yeah.
And then you see the jetpack man or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm really optimistic and hopeful about this movie. I think that sense of wonder and
yeah,
fantasy-ish thing is when pulled off can be really quite
I agree.
magical, for lack of a better way of describing it, and reminds you of why you love movies, especially as a kid, why you loved movies
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. And
I think a big part of it for me is readjusting my expectations, like back towards it's targeted at a much younger audience than what I was expecting.
yeah, I can see that, but I think I'd be
I don't think
hesitant
that's
to
a bad
say
thing.
it's just a kids' movie. I think
No, I'm
in the
not saying
same
that
way
at
that
all.
like Pixar, like
Yeah,
The
but that's-
Incredibles,
That's exactly kind of what I
you know,
mean, though. Like
yeah.
I guess I was expecting like the same sort of tone as Mission Impossible or something like that.
right, okay,
Which, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing that,
Yeah,
it's aimed at a younger demographic. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it can't be great, but I'm just saying you're right. I have to skew it back to like a Pixar film or something
Yeah.
like that, which is what they're going for.
yeah, I think
Not
so.
like a it looks like it could have actiony blockbuster stuff in it, but do you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be a serious sci-fi film. It's like a more fun, whimsical, Disney sci-fi film.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think you're totally spot on. Yeah. And Brad Bird is such a Disney fan and lover. Like he obviously studied traditional 2D animation, and he studied at CalArts, and a lot of his teachers were like original Disney animators. They were like super old men by that point. That's like been his passion forever. Yeah. And then he got into animation and then Pixar, and so I actually think this is his first Disney film, like pure Disney film.
Yeah, not Pixar.
Non-Pixar, and The Iron Giant was Warner Brothers, I think. So this is like him getting to do this, to have this sort of Disney movie that he's always wanted to do. I mean, it's not animated, but to have those Disney whimsical, adventurous kind of themes and stuff. So, I
mean, it kind of harkens back to something like Mary Poppins or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's
like
exactly what I mean.
Going to this magical world.
That's right. Yeah, which they haven't done for a while because they're doing like live action fairy tales, or they're doing Marvel movies and stuff. Like it feels kind of old school in that way. Yeah, which is exciting.
My only other concern would be that I hope there's not an over-reliance on CG. I mean, we only get a little glimpse of the Tomorrowland or whatever it is, but it does look very CG.
Yeah.
Having said that, it's an early teaser too, so it's probably unfinished.
Yeah, that's
effects.
True. Yeah, I think there will be a lot of CG.
Yeah.
It just depends how they handle it, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, like he's so visually inventive, like that I would trust he knows how to handle that sort of thing.
Yeah. You would think so, especially given his background, and like he managed to use effects really well in the Mission Impossible film.
Yeah, so well.
And a good mix of practical and CG, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm optimistic about the film, but cautiously so. Mostly because of old mate Damon.
Yeah.
His involvement.
Yeah.
I've been burnt so many times by that man. This is his, like you said, last chance to
I think
redeem himself.
Yeah,
I think.
if the story has his typical shortcomings this time, then it's the last chance. Yeah. Because his concepts are always quite good. Yeah. And it's like you get excited, and just as a guy, he seems like a nice guy, and he always talks passionately about nerdy things, and I want to be there with him, but he just drops the ball a bit sometimes. Yeah. So we'll see, I guess. Yeah. There's a lot riding on this movie.
Yeah, well, and I just hope it's good for Brad Bird. Like, I want his career to keep going.
Yeah,
like,
he's on a great trajectory.
He keeps surprising everyone with how good his films are. So I hope that it's a similar situation with this film.
Yeah,
the cast's good. I like George Clooney.
Yeah.
Optimistic.
Yep.
No way.
A miraculous place where you could actually change the world. You want to go?
All right, so here we are, guys. Both just having seen Tomorrowland, the Brad Bird film that we were pretty excited about. John, you've just come out of a screening a few hours ago. Give us your first impressions. Has this lived up to the huge hype that we built up for it before we went in?
Well, I'll say off the bat, no.
Yep.
We were pretty hyped for this, and we have we're both pretty big fans of Brad Bird, I would say.
Yep, definitely.
And I think this is his weakest film.
Yep.
by quite a margin, because all his other films are really strong. It's still kind of sinking in. I'm still processing the movie, but I definitely know that I didn't particularly like it or enjoy it even. I wasn't sitting there hating it, and I respect a lot of what it's trying to do, and some of the thematic stuff is interesting, and I kind of see what he was going for, but the total it doesn't add, like, the sum of the parts don't really add up to a great film. You know, there's individual little moments that are cool, and it's shot, I like the way it's shot, I like the way Brad Bird shoots things. But yeah, overall I'm still kind of trying to figure out what
the fuck happened,
like what is really happening. And that's the thing, it's so dense with lore and plot and backstory, and like this thematic stuff that's like thrown at you. It's not even like hidden, it's like they basically say that it's like almost, I don't want to say preachy, but very on the nose with what it's trying to say and do. And I'm just still absorbing that, but I know I'm not gonna, you know, wake up tomorrow and go, actually it was great, because it's a bit of a mess. I think. So I don't know, but I don't know. What do you think, Matt? Maybe you can help me decide.
You know, as usual here on the podcast, I think we're pretty much in sync. I felt exactly the same way as you, and I think perhaps because I've had about a week since I went to the screening where I saw it, over that week it's probably lessened even more in my opinion of the film, just as it's so dense with just crap and needless plot mechanics, that the more you start to think about it, the just less and less it makes sense, and the more annoying it sort of becomes, that it's so muddled up in all this rubbish. Because I don't know, I feel bad disliking this film, because I love what it has to say. I think it's such a great message, and it's so nice to see sort of like a positive sci-fi film, and it's not the dystopic stuff we always say. I 100% like agree with what it's talking about, saying how, you know, the constant repetition in the media of how shit the world's going to be, and this like fatalism where everyone's just given up and doesn't want to do anything. Like we need things to inspire hope and inspire people to want to try and fix these problems, instead of just you know, admit that it's going to happen and do nothing. So I respect it so much, and I can understand why he was so passionate about making a film that was trying to tell audiences that, and inspire children, and
that's right,
you know, help the world, do something good. But it's just stuck in this pretty shit film, I think. Like, it's just not very good. There's like I was saying, just so much stuff that doesn't make sense. I think the biggest criticism I can level against the film is that I was pretty bored a lot of the time. Like, it should have been exciting and wondrous, and I just didn't care. And maybe my expectations were too high, because like you said, we are Brad Bird fans, and this is the first Brad Bird film I haven't like really loved. So maybe my expectations were too high, but you know, I went into this film wanting to love it, and during the film I kept trying to love it, and it just kept you know,
same.
pummeling me back with its silly each silly plot mechanic and twist that just gets thrown in. So disappointed.
No, I agree, obviously, and I think just hearing you say that it should have been fun and wondrous and adventurous, which the trailer kind of sort of promised in a way. That teaser was full of like all this potential and this like magical world that you're going to go visit, and it just didn't really have any of that. Like, I don't know, Brad Bird's normally so good at that sort of thing, and it felt rushed in that sense. You never had time to really take in any moments. You know, there weren't build-ups to moments and then payoffs. It was just kind of like running through quickly a bunch of stuff. You know? And in between, we're going to talk about how people need to be positive and, you know, stop being so cynical. Which, you know, as you said, like, I'm totally on board for that too. I agree, and it's about empowering smart people and creative people, and that's amazing. But it just, unfortunately, like, you can't say that and then not kind of be smart or creative.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the biggest
when making the movie
crime, right? Like it's kind of preaches about like, intelligence and how you can change things by being smart and creative, and the film just is the complete opposite to that.
Yeah, like it does. The design itself, like I imagine the concept art for this movie is really good because the design is really cool. I really like the way it looked, and in particular, everything in Tomorrowland had that, Disneyland-esque 1950s kind of retro sci-fi feel, which I really like.
Yeah.
And all the weapons and the way they worked and all the sci-fi stuff was actually pretty cool looking. But it was never, I don't know, it never felt natural. Like, I can say it looked cool, but it didn't really fit a lot of the time. It felt like the effects always felt very obvious, and I don't know, there just wasn't that downtime to like breathe it in.
Yeah,
it was
totally
always
agree.
just like flashy or something.
Like the weird thing about this movie is it's almost like it's about an idea, right? Like there's not a physical thing. Like the first half of the film is about getting to Tomorrowland, right? But there's kind of like no fucking reason to get to Tomorrowland. Do you know what I mean? We need to get to Tomorrowland because she wants to go to Tomorrowland, which is bad,
exactly.
just in terms of storytelling. I found myself just not caring. But so I think it tried to sell it on the wonder. Like she was so like captured by this.
I have to go back. there.
But that just was never like communicated to the audience. I mean, there is that great shot where there's kind of like an enormous one-take shot where she first actually gets to Tomorrowland holding the pin, or it's the recording of Tomorrowland or whatever, with the advertisement. Which is an impressive shot, and there's the cool stuff in the background, like the multi-layered swimming pools and all that kind of cool
that was
design
great.
stuff. But the problem with that, though, is that like we've already opened in Tomorrowland. You have that stupid fucking jetpack scene at the start, which I didn't really like. It felt super cartoony and kind of like Spy Kidsy, which I was afraid of after seeing the first teaser. So as an audience, you've already seen Tomorrowland. You're one step ahead of everyone else. So there's no like wonder or anticipation for us as to what Tomorrowland's going to be like, because we've already seen it. We don't care. Then you have to sit there and wait an hour and a half for her to just go there. And then I don't know. It's a really point. A muddled plot it doesn't work in terms of building tension and payoff, like you said.
Yeah, that's totally right. I mean, they probably could have gotten rid of that opening scene altogether.
Yeah, I totally agree.
With the young George Clooney, like, because I didn't even think of that, but you're spot on. Like, it totally kills any anticipation or sense of wonder. Again, like going back to that, which this movie seems to really be trying to like push forward.
Yeah,
but it just doesn't know how to handle it.
Yeah, I really disliked the whole opening of this film. Actually, it was really hard for me to stay on board. Like opening with that silly mechanic of like the freeze framing, like they're telling the story to the audience and the freeze frame, they're kind of this arguing back and forth, and I don't know, none of that humour in that scene worked for me, and I just found it like annoying, and it was such a weird way to tell the prologue because it seemed like they were just wasting so much time. It was like treading water and telling us this stuff we didn't need to know, and it wasn't exciting or funny, and I don't know, I was really disheartened as soon as it started. I was like, oh no, just hoping it would get better and better, and it kind of never did. Yep,
I agree. I think the tone that it sets from the start, like, it never really changes from that the whole way through, and it's this kind of, on paper I can see why they thought that humour would work, or because there is a lightheartedness throughout the whole film, and there's those like kind of typical one-liners back and forth kind of stuff, particularly with George Clooney. He's always like, oh, what have you got us into now, kid? And all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, it just doesn't click.
No.
It always feels like distant or cold or something. I don't quite know what it is. Like, it's like they weren't comfortable on set almost, or something. You know, there's just it never really invites you in to like experience everything with them.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the biggest missing pieces is that humor. Because if you have that and the characters that could have carried you through, but even the characters I think are really flat and boring. Yeah, the main character Casey, her character is so one-dimensional. Like, yes, she's positive, that's great, but then that's it. Like, I mean, I guess to an extent that's kind of the point of the movie, right? Is her positivity can inspire change, but as an audience member, it's just boring. Just watching her on a single like emotional wavelength for the whole film, like never changing at all.
Exactly. And they always talk about how special she is.
God, yeah.
But you never really see it.
No,
you know what I mean?
nothing.
Other than she's positive. Like, it's not even like she's... Like, they try and show that she's a good inventor, I guess, but not really.
No.
You know, she changes like the wire on her dad's little circuit board.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And, you know, that's to show, I guess, that she is smart.
Understands circuit boards, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, she never really seems to prove why everyone's
so
like
weird.
falling over themselves about her.
So they talk about this test or whatever that apparently she got like the highest score ever on. It beat George Clooney, and he gets all like, you know, annoyed at her.
That's
It's like, what is this test? And it's never explained.
Yeah, exactly.
They mention it like 3 times, and then there's just nothing.
That's bizarre.
That's weird.
It's really weird. It's like telling you that she's positive and special, rather than the age-old thing of like they should be showing us and just putting that into the character, rather than have someone like make up a test and say she did well, and she didn't even like. Are they scoring her on the test? Like, then how can you really do well? Because isn't it up to the person who's scoring you, or like, it doesn't make sense. And her big like save the world moment isn't really particularly profound or like genius level. No, you know, where she's like, "Oh, we need to blow up the machine." Like that's her big idea.
See, I thought it was going to be they will like reverse the like polarity of the machine and use like her positiveness or something to project positive energy
that's
back
what I
into.
thought too. Yeah, like let's put something good out there
instead of like let's just blow it up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. So it's still like if you can be really positive, but if you have like a really bad problem, just fucking kill it.
Just fucking smash it. Yeah.
Yeah. Punch that person in the face. Blow up their car. You know, that's the way to deal with it.
That's why she scored so high on the test, John. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it was like a explosives test or something. Obviously, that's not. You know, we're being a bit cynical, but it doesn't quite add up at the end there. No. You know, after all the promise of what they've been saying, and for all they go on about Tomorrowland as well, you never really experience it. I mean, she goes through that advertisement part, but I never felt like I really knew what was
I totally
there
agree.
or what was happening. Like, and her like the people that live there, once it all got closed down, like where did they all go?
Yeah, what happened?
You know
like
what I mean?
That's the other thing I don't understand. They finally do actually get to Tomorrowland, and it's like a shithole. Like it's just deserted.
Yeah.
Like why? What? Like
what? It seemed to be because they built that thing, and it said, "Oh, the world's going to end." So everyone was like, "Oh well, yeah,
fuck this.
Can't do anything about that." Yeah,
but like that's the other weird thing is like Tomorrowland isn't. It's another dimension, like it's another dimension, right? So it's not even...
Yeah.
So even if Earth's fucked, they're fine. Like, kind of what Hugh Laurie's character says.
That's right,
So, like, that makes... Like, why would they just give up there if Earth is doomed? Which is, like... And just in general, Tomorrowland, like, it's kind of... just, like, Tomorrowland in general, you never kind of understand how it's impacting Earth, right? Like, it's built as this... most important thing, and like this place that will, I don't know, you know, save Earth or such a positive force, but you go there
Yeah.
and it's like it's just a place for smart people to fucking have a swim in a 3-level pool and play with jetpacks. It's like there's no connection between the two. Like, it looks cool, but
exactly.
So what?
Yeah, I was waiting for like some like cheesy sort of thing, like, oh, that iPhone that you're holding, Tomorrowland, like the internet, Tomorrowland, or some, some
But
stupid
at
thing like
least
that.
that would link them, and
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like there's no product of what they're all meant to be working on there, except for a big machine that shows you the future, or that's it. Like, it's and for all the people living there, the world's best and brightest, they abandon Earth, I guess. And then what happened to them? There was like thousands of people living there. It's a whole planet or city, like
it's just weird. It's so like, weird.
I know the concept, like it's almost more conceptual than an actual place, but then when you have characters actually go there, you need, and it is physical, you need to kind of back that up with physical things or something, like the idea, it's obviously more a representation of like creative sorry, I'm getting emotional of like creative teamwork and uplifting spirit and scientific experimentation, well, not experimentation, but noble scientific endeavors, but I don't know, when you go there, as you said, it's all almost the opposite. It's just superficial and shiny, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's just, that seems like such a huge issue with this film, given what it is trying to say. Like that's almost a key. A film that's called Tomorrowland and it's about this place that needs to, I don't know, make more of that. Like, I originally thought it was like the future, like Tomorrowland was. And it was going to be it was a time travel thing. Like they were sending people back or forward to like inspire people to then like almost self-perpetuate that future, right? Like they needed people, smart people, so that we would eventually live in this utopia instead of this like fucked world that we're sort of headed towards. Yeah, which even that would kind of, I mean, rewriting the film as usual, but that would make at least that puts some tension. Like you understand that Tomorrow World is in danger of not existing if they don't like change the path that they're on, or something like that. But
and then you have, instead of having a screen with a percentage on it, you could have parts of the actual city that are like glitching in and out, in that kind of Back to the Future way or something, and it's like, oh, we've tampered too much with time and blah blah blah. I mean, we're going into like totally different movie, but that's more interesting to me than a weird screen that's like, every time she says something positive, the percentage changes, which is it just seems silly. Like, I don't know. Brad Bird is a smart guy. I don't know.
Yeah, and
it just seems beneath him, It's
such a missed opportunity in so many respects too. Like, I mean, I didn't really like that opening jetpack scene just because it was so cartoony, but I feel like Tomorrowland as a place has so much potential for cool action shit to happen, like adventure, fun, exciting, like using that wacky technology. Because even the sort of action scene in the comic book store was pretty cool, like with those ray guns and like that little sphere that froze time, and she was like caught in it while it was shrinking. The bullets were the lasers were going to come out. Like, that's a cool using that kind of wacky technology. You could have had so much fun in Tomorrowland having crazy set pieces like that, but it's just they don't even do anything. It's not. I mean, I guess there's that fight scene at the end, at the bottom of the tower, but it's pretty bland.
It's almost nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like two robots and that's it.
Yeah,
there's hardly anything actually sci-fi about it.
Yeah,
really.
like the best action scene was probably the one in George Clooney's house, like that escape.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scene.
Yeah, that was probably the best scene in the movie, and that lived up to like what I kind of wanted from the movie. Just like this crazy contraptions and like weird little traps and everything. And
no, I guess it was a little bit disappointing that was spoiled in the second trailer. Like that was basically the second trailer was that scene, and that turned out to be like you said, the best thing in the film, just about.
It makes you wonder whether they kind of knew that, the marketing team were like, oh, this is the best stuff. Though
even like there was little things in that scene. I mean, I guess this is getting a little bit nitpicky. Maybe we'll go through some other things later. But I feel like there's a lot of nitpicky things that add up, like throughout the whole film. And one of them in particular was that this scene, because it's kind of established early on that when the robots die, they self-destruct, right? Like that's what happens in the comic book store, and then it happens for the first robot. Like there's that one with its foot under the door, and I think George Clooney like punches it or something, or stabs it, and then it falls back, and the metal shutters close, and the explosion from behind it kind of like dints out
that's right,
the metal. But then after that one, none of the other robots explode, like after they die. Like not a single one, apart from the two that are on the Eiffel. We haven't even got to the fucking Eiffel Tower, but on the Eiffel Tower when they fall off, they self-destruct, and then finally the Athena chick at the end self-destructs. Like
that's a great point.
Like why set up a rule like that and then have it just not be applicable to half of the film, and then bring it back at the end for when you want it, or when it's,
exactly.
I don't know, it just frustrated me. Little things like that. It's just lazy storytelling.
Exactly. That's a huge problem that these sorts of movies can fall into, sci-fi and fantasy in particular, is like you have to be consistent. You can have the craziest universe in the world, but it's kind of got to make sense within itself. And if you keep swapping and changing the rules and introducing things suddenly, which is what Jupiter Ascending suffered from as well, it's just like after a while your brain's like, well, okay, whatever.
I mean, that sounds harsh, but in some ways this did remind me a little bit of Jupiter Ascending. Even the lead, Casey, the main character, like her reactions to certain things, like... I mean, I guess her reaction to Tomorrowland was like full of wonder, but there was all those crazy things in like George Clooney's house, and she just like picks him up, looks at the little projector thing, like fucking with it. Like, I mean, I guess she's meant to be an inventor, but I just found her like smarmy and unlikable. Like, I just disliked her for the whole film.
I would agree. They kind of needed some. I don't know. I guess it's a mixture of like the writing, the direction, and maybe her acting as well. Like it's that thing I was saying before that you can't like quite connect. And I think George Clooney is doing his best to be like a lovable, scrappy kind of old surly inventor, but even he can't save it really.
No. So what did you think of the Eiffel Tower scene, John?
I didn't really like it, but the concept again is like I can get behind, and the movie, it's like it doesn't know really what it wants to be, but a part of it is like, oh, in our world there's all these other little ways to get to Tomorrowland, or there's all these hidden things that if you stumble upon them, you know. And when you're like, this movie, I guess we should also say, is like primarily focused towards a younger audience, I'd say, like more so than even Brad Bird's Pixar films. And you know, when you're a kid, you love that kind of stuff, like hidden stuff, walls, and you know.
But actually, sorry,
trapdoors.
The opening in with the It's a Small World ride, where it like it's scanned. That's so cool. That's a cool idea. Exactly. I loved that. Yeah, me too. I really like that. And for those few seconds, I was like, ooh, maybe this is going to be really good. And when you're a kid, especially, that kind of stuff, I mean, for me, I loved that kind of stuff, and pretending like that there were hidden worlds behind doors and stuff. And so the Eiffel Tower thing is like a massive version of that. But I don't know, maybe by then in the movie you're kind of already starting to see the seams and, you know, the cracks and everything. Something about it just didn't connect. And like, I know everyone in Paris was like taking pictures of it, but no one really seemed to care. And it's also that thing of like, what happens then on Earth, you know, like a rocket just shot out of the Eiffel Tower. Now what? Like,
how are they going to fix that? How are they going to You know, it's like the Jupiter Ascending thing of like, oh, they just magically erase everyone's memories. Like, they don't even go into it. I think Hugh Laurie later says like, oh, we would cover it up,
but fuck it.
Who cares?
Yeah, like you're doomed anyway.
Yeah, which is fine. But then by the end of the movie, you know, Tomorrowland is open, but it's still kind of a secret. So they would have to cover that up somehow, right?
Yeah.
And also, like, how is the ship underground? And
yeah, it's just
it's just a bit too much. It's a bit too.
Yeah,
much.
it struck me as exactly what you said. Like, it's kind of a cool idea that you had these geniuses like Edison or whoever the other guys were that were part of the original Tomorrowland crew, and they hid this secret entrance to Tomorrowland for emergencies or whatever. But it's just it's the same problem of there's no kind of build up of suspense. Like, suddenly they're just in a fucking ball that takes them to Paris, and they're in the Eiffel Tower, and then George Clooney has a magical music thing, he sticks in the music box and it opens up, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, okay, alright, now we're in a magic room. Okay, what now? Alright, the Eiffel Tower opens up, and you go into space. Alright, okay, like, why did you need to go into space? Don't know. Now we go back to Earth, and somehow that takes you to the other dimension because you're going so fast or something, even though you've never needed anything like that before because old mate just got in one under the It's a Small World ride and just magically zapped there. Like, just so inconsistent.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's breaking its own rules again, and there's no point. And it's also rushing through, like, that whole scene like felt so quick. And as you said, it's like they're here, then they're here, then they're here, then this happens, and you don't even have time to really like process it properly.
Yeah, like there could have been like a cool like puzzle thing there, or like, I mean, you know, perhaps like the Da Vinci Code isn't the masterpiece it should be aspired towards, but you know, having some sort of like historical puzzle that they have to piece together to find this hidden mythical door that had been like the emergency door to Tomorrowland could have been cool, and it could have been a chance for Casey to prove that she's not just some positive girl that likes to blow up towers. Like, that's an opportunity for her to show her smart. I don't know, there's just point. It's just so obsessed with pushing forward to the next silly plot point that makes no sense, that it just abandons any sense of like mystery or suspense. Like, you just and it just, that becomes boring, and it's such a disappointment. What did you think of Athena, the little robot girl?
I don't know. In a way, she was the strongest character of the main cast. Like, I don't know why she was just the most interesting. I guess because she was this robot that doesn't age, and she was like learning. But you know, it gets into problems there because like she wasn't cold and logical like a computer, but she also, like, when they needed to hit that kind of wall, she was. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't a, like, I know her arc is like by the end she kind of learns to have free will almost, I guess, or like and
love George Clooney and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So that, you know, by the end it was like a bit, I don't know, it didn't quite work, but I don't know, I think that actress is really good. Like, I found her interesting.
I probably,
what did you think?
I kind of disliked most of the other performances in the film, actually, especially the young George Clooney kid. I don't know, there's something about him that just like rubbed me up the wrong way. But yeah, I agree that she was probably the strongest, and I actually really liked the final scene with her and George Clooney. Like, I mean, there's mildly creepy vibes to it earlier on, like, because he seems so obsessed with this small child. But I think it's actually handled quite well, and I found that final scene with her like there was nothing sexual about it. There was just like this moving moment where he was like recognizing the loss and what he like fucked up and how everything went bad, you know, like, and the mistakes that he made, and it's almost like mourning the loss of his childhood more than her. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's just like represents how hurt he was when he was a boy and how that fucked him up. So I really liked that final emotional scene between those two. But then, I mean, even that annoyed me in a little moments, because like as she's dying, there's like 3 times where she's like, I have something so important that I need to, it's just fucking say it.
Yeah.
Like, you're wasting so much time, like,
Yeah.
and then she's like, oh, I'm imminently about to self-destruct, and then keeps saying she has something important to say, then plays a recording, then they fly out, and it's like 20 minutes later she actually does.
Yeah,
it's like,
it takes forever.
Yeah, you could have fixed her in that time. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Actually, another thing that I thought was odd was the relationship between Casey and her dad. Like, that, it's set up as something really important, and there's that fucking stupid wolf story, which I like the message of, but it's such a dumb, like, it's not even a story.
It was so ham-fisted the way they put it in too.
It just made me cringe. Anyway, you know, there's this whole setup with her and the NASA hat that she like can't lose. Like, she nearly loses it in the swamp, and then like it seems to be this like thing, right? And then it just blows. It just blows off her head when she's got up the tower, and it's never mentioned again.
And that's it. Yeah, she just loses it.
Well, actually, one thing I did like is the whole pin thing, right? Like, the way that was executed, like the touching of the pin, and then being shown Tomorrowland, but then still being like the way she bumps her head into things and drops the pin and stuff. I thought that was that effect was really, really cool. I thought that was executed really well. I would agree. Though, having said that, that's fucking dangerous. Like,
it is, isn't it?
I thought at the end, like, when everyone's getting those pins, I'm like, are you nuts? Like, 50% of those people are going to be dead. They're going to touch the pin and walk out onto a freeway and just get smashed. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I kept worrying for her. Like, I mean, I guess once you know it's a recording, like, when she's on that train, she's not like flying around the real world. She's just standing there. Yeah. But I don't know. Like, there's so many. Like, she fell down the fucking stairs. Like, that could have almost killed her. You know, I would be like touching it, letting go like every 2 seconds just to make sure.
Yeah, exactly. Just making sure.
Like,
I was thinking that too. Or like, have your hands out the whole time. Like, what am I going to run into?
Yeah, it seems like such a dangerous way to introduce people to...
Yeah, for like, you know, such smart people that made this technology, you think they'd think about how safe it is.
And even like, I mean, I guess this is getting a bit nitpicky again, but like at the end, I liked the idea of all these smart people being chosen and finding the pin, and it's like this, you know, super multicultural, like getting people from all walks of life to like band together to come to Tomorrowland. But one, like, that's a great final image of them all standing up in the wheat field, but like, they shouldn't be together, right? Because they're not actually in Tomorrow. Like, that's just a recording that they're watching, so they should be a lot It's again that like internal logic just out the window, because they wanted this image of everyone standing up together in a wheat field, even though it makes no fucking sense. But also, like, that's such a hopeful image, a hopeful message that these people are coming together. But again, it's like, what is your end game? Like, you destroyed that machine, but surely, like, you've still only got like 50 days. Like, you know, it hasn't just instantly erased. You know, Earth's still on that trajectory, right? They haven't projected some magical fix-all that's gonna... So what's their plan? Get everyone into Tomorrowland and go, better fix it in a month. Off you go. Exactly. Like, it's sort of... There's no, like, concrete ending. And I get it's about ideas, but it just doesn't... It feels so empty. Like, there's nothing concrete to go, this is how they're going to fix it. This is a really positive, you know, ending to the film. It's so ambiguous and like I don't know. Yeah, evasive.
I totally agree. Like, the fact that they blew up that thing felt a bit silly anyway. Like, that was projecting the negativity, but then they never. You're right. They never addressed, like, because all those issues were kind of real world
like
issues
climate
that they were
change
talking
and
about.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, did that just go away? Was there, or like back on Earth, everyone starts driving like hybrid cars suddenly or something? And, you know, like, they were kind of touching on like political unrest and all this stuff, and it's just weird that never got addressed after they blew up the thing, or like there was no one there. George Clooney wasn't there to say, like, okay, you know, we haven't got rid of all the negative stuff, but we've bought ourselves more time.
Yeah, so
or
that's
something.
all they needed to do. Establish something like that, and they had this plan of attack to slowly change. Like, we're making it better step by step kind of thing. Which, I mean, I guess maybe that was what you were meant to take from it, but I don't know. It just felt like as soon as they blew up that tower, you were meant to, as an audience, go, "Oh, it's fixed," like...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, finally cutting to them sending out the next versions of,
the more little robot children.
Droids. Yeah, exactly. That felt a bit weird to me as well. Like, so they'd been standing up there the whole time telling the movie, to all these little robots that, why aren't they programmed to just know? And that one of them asked a question. So weird. Yeah,
that's so true. Like, surely their programming is just to go find. Like, why do they have to have a conference and sit down and go, "This is what happened, and this is what your job is"? It's like, just program it into them.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, I don't know. It's strange because I don't hate it.
No, I know, that's true. It feels like we're really fucking slamming it, but
yeah. But I almost feel like nothing. You know what I mean? Like I conceptually like the messages and some of the design, and a bunch of other things annoy me, but I don't feel passionate either way, and that's almost worse.
Yeah.
Like, it's just gonna, I feel like it's gonna fade from my head.
Indifference in you, John.
yeah, exactly. I don't know, and I really, really wanted to like it, as you said. I mean, Brad Bird. We haven't even gone into that it's. I guess it's a movie that the conception is a Disney theme park.
Well, yeah,
right? Like,
I guess so.
Tomorrowland.
Yeah, the part of the Disney theme parks. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that they had It's a Small World at the start. I actually thought there was going to be more Disney connections. I was so surprised there wasn't. All the marketing viral stuff was quite Disney connected, I think.
Yeah, right.
And I'm sure I read somewhere that like Walt Disney was part of these people that went to Tomorrowland, and that's why he hid like clues around Disneyland.
See, that sounds so much cooler.
Yeah, and then that wasn't really in the movie at all. So yeah, like, I guess if they had too much of that stuff, it would be a bit self-gratifying because it's a Disney movie. Yeah. But I could have done with a little more. I mean, if you're gonna be so sugary and sweet towards the ending, you might as well like have a few more Disney elements in there.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
I thought the score was pretty good.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't amazing, but I did notice that it had like a nice central theme, which is like a rare thing these days. So I always appreciate when a movie has like a good rousing theme.
Yeah, to be fair, I can't really remember it, but I remember sort of liking it at the time. It certainly didn't stand out as being bad. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's going to be this big memorable thing, but I think Michael Giacchino did the score, and he's great. He's one of the best composers around now. I think with his stuff with Brad Bird and Pixar and a bunch of other cool scores that he's done. I think he's doing Jurassic World as well. So if anything from that movie will have a good score, I think. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, I don't know. I guess, like I said, I feel bad disliking this film as much as I do. And maybe it's also, like I said, I've had more time to stew over it, and it's just more of these little things keep popping up in my mind and making me dislike it more and more. But
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it does have a positive message, and it's not like the worst film I've seen, but it's another example of a really great missed opportunity. Like, there's something that could have been a different, positive, fun, exciting, wondrous sci-fi adventure film, and it turns into this just boring, overstuffed, kind of dumb film that has a good message hidden, or not hidden, shouted at you at the end.
I think I'd love to know the production of this movie, and like there's 3 writers I noticed. There's Brad Bird, Damon Lindelof, and another guy I can't remember, sorry. And I'd love to know, is this I presume this is Brad Bird's idea, and then he passed it off to Lindelof to
to shit
I don't
on
know. I'd
and
love to. Yeah,
destroy.
I'd love to know the process because it just. I don't know. I know not every filmmaker can consistently make great films, but he just.
Yeah.
I've always had so much creative faith, I guess, in Brad Bird, and just felt strange to me that he didn't deliver this time around.
I blame Lindelof.
I know you do. I think I do as well. Yeah, it's disappointing. Very disappointing.
Yeah,
I'm more
it's such a
disappointed
shame.
now that we're
Sorry,
coming
I've
towards the end of the review.
Yeah.
It's just like
Torn it down in your.
I've had
in your
more
opinion.
time to think about it. Yeah, but I mean, I don't think we're exaggerating. I think all those problems are there, and if anything, we're actually being a bit lenient because we like the message and we like Brad Bird.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's true. Like, in lesser hands, or if it didn't have like a positive spin on it, I think it could have ended up something like Jupiter Ascending, where I came out like hating it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
Because there's kind of like a positive core and a heart to it that I feel like it's trying. Like, you're right, I give it much more of a pass than I would something
That's
more
right.
cynical.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks for listening to the pre-post film review. We'd love to hear what you guys thought of Tomorrowland. We were pretty negative, so we want to hear some positive feedback from you guys.
We do.
Maybe explain some of those plot holes that we thought were so horrible. Maybe there's explanations in there that we just completely missed. So yeah, we'd love to hear from someone that liked the film, but yeah, we always love getting emails, so if you want to send us one, that would be awesome. You can email us at prepostfilmreview@gmail.com, and we'll reply to all the emails that we get, and yeah, it's awesome getting them.
Absolutely. You guys can also give us a like on Facebook. That would be amazing. You can just search for us, pre-post film review. There's also a link in the show notes. You could also, if you fancy, give us a review or subscribe to us on iTunes. That really helps us reach new listeners, and that would just be a great thing to do. If you want to feel good about your day, you should just do that, and it'll be good.
This is like the positive energy from Tomorrowland.
Exactly.
If you want to start spreading that positive energy,
That's right.
You start by reviewing the show.
Exactly. Yep.
It'll change the world.
It really will. Everyone will become cynical assholes that don't like half the movies they watch. That's not true. I guess we're positive most of the time.
I think
we try to
usually
be.
come off pretty positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If iTunes ain't your thing, we're also on Stitcher and most of the big podcasting servers, so you can find us there. That's probably how you're listening to us. We're also on Twitter, and we've been making an effort lately to have more engagement with our listeners on Twitter, so definitely give us a follow over there at prepostfr. That would be awesome.
And if you just can't get enough of us, you can also follow us on Letterboxd, which is a cool little site that lets you log all the films that you watch, and you create a little diary and review stuff. And there's an awesome little film community over there. So if you want to check out what John and myself have been watching sort of outside the podcast, all the other films that we see and what we think of them, you can follow us both on there. The the links to our profiles are in the show notes for this episode. And join us next episode when we're going to be reviewing the fourth in the Jurassic Park series.
Yeah.
Jurassic World.
It's going to be an interesting episode, I think.
I think it will be too. Actually, that's the other thing, like, Disney sure as fuck love milking that Star Wars license now that they've got it, don't they? Like, Jesus.
I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because I was gonna bring that up too. Like that, it was just everything in there, and all the sound effects, and like, they were just
lingering on the Han Solo carbonite thing, and like
it's so weird. It's like they're already doing subliminal,
seeding
Star
people,
Wars advertising.
Star Wars,
it was strange.
Excited.
It was like over the top, like
I felt
silly
that as well,
and not in a good way. It was like a producer said, like, we've got the rights now, so let's just cram all this Star Wars stuff in there.
Yeah, weird.